You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Law, and as chair, I now call to order the meeting of the Bond Financing Committee members of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development, for this Thursday, September 12th, 2024. This meeting is being webcast. The committee members have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time, of course. I'll note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda item by submitting their written comments by 10 a.m. today. I'll note for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda item, and we do not have any members of the public in attendance to provide comments. I will ask the committee members whether anyone has a potential conflict of interest with respect to today's agenda item. Hearing none, I'll note that for the record, I will now ask Matthew Bray to present the first item on today's agenda item, which relates to the issuance of state personal income tax revenue bonds and/or state sales tax revenue bonds. Matt, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The committee is being asked to approve the forms of the supplemental resolution, preliminary official statement, notice of sale, supplemental schedules, and related documents in connection with the proposed sale and delivery of the corporation's state sales tax revenue bonds, Series 2024A, tax exempt, and the delegation of powers to determine the terms and conditions of the proposed sale of the bonds to certain officers and employees of the corporation, and to award the bonds to one or more successful bidders if the bonds are sold by public competitive sale. The bonds will be issued by the corporation pursuant to the sales tax revenue bond financing program and will be secured by a pledge of financing agreement payments payable from amounts legally required to be deposited into the sales tax revenue bond tax fund. Distributions of such funds are subject to annual appropriations by the state legislature. The corporation currently plans to issue the bonds under the New York State Urban Development Corporation State Sales Tax Revenue Bonds General Bond Resolution and Supplemental Resolution 2024-1 authorizing state sales tax revenue bonds. To provide flexibility, it is proposed that the committee also approve Supplemental Resolution 2024-1 authorizing state personal income tax revenue bonds. In the event the corporation issues personal income tax bonds, such bonds will be issued pursuant to the revenue bond financing program and will be secured by a pledge of financing agreement payments from amounts legally required to be deposited into the revenue bond tax fund. The committee previously approved master continuing disclosure agreements, the appointment of co-bond counsel, and the submission of an application to the Public Authorities Control Board for the authorization to fund the projects or programs for which the bonds will be issued. Today, the PACB approved the application and authorized state sales tax revenue bonds and/or state personal income tax bonds in an amount not to exceed $1.4 billion. Bond proceeds will be used to finance projects relating to economic development, housing, state and municipal facilities, and transportation initiatives, and may refund outstanding state-supported debt previously issued by the corporation and other authorized issuers. The bonds will be sold on a competitive and/or negotiated basis as fixed-rate tax-exempt bonds. The bonds are expected to be offered pursuant to one or more preliminary official statements and sold pursuant to one or more notices of sale. In accordance with the resolution, the committee is requested to adopt supplemental resolutions, approve the form of the supplemental schedules, authorize the sale of bonds on a public, competitive, and/or negotiated basis, approve a form of preliminary official statement and the execution of an official statement substantially in the form of the preliminary official statement, and approve various documents connected with the sale and delivery of the bonds, and to authorize certain officers and employees of the corporation to take all actions deemed necessary to accomplish the sale and delivery of the bonds and to refund certain outstanding state-supported debt previously issued by the corporation and other authorized issuers of state-supported debt. By approving the resolution, the committee will establish a maximum aggregate par amount of bonds that may be issued and delegate to certain officers and employees the power to determine the terms of the bonds within the parameters set forth therein, including, but not limited to, the final aggregate principal amount of the bonds, the principal amount of each series of the bonds, principal amount of the bonds maturing in each year, the final maturity dates, and the interest rates of the bonds, and to make such changes to the related documents deemed necessary and appropriate. The bonds are expected to price next week and close soon thereafter. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Matthew. As a reminder, we do not have any comments from the public. Are there any questions or comments from any of the committee members? Hearing none, I will move this motion. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. All right, the motion carries. There being no further business, I will move to adjourn. I see that Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for participating in today's meeting.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.